That's how YouTube works, right? You turn a camera on and you talk about your opinions, and then 5 years later, you hate yourself for them. It's great. And so we begin. Hello! Welcome back! You pressed the wrong link again. I just wanted to talk a bit about We Hunt the Flame, which is a book I've read for Asian Readathon. I'm still going through Asian Readathon by the time that you'll be seeing this, so you'll see it in my wrap-up. Got our whiskey, got our notes for reading. So, I'll start with non-spoiler stuff. We start off with a world called Raye, and in this world, all magic is pretty much lost after like a big epic battle that takes place. Since magic has been lost, this forest on the edge of where the oceans are has been slowly growing into the land, and it's a forest where people go in and they either never find their way out, they die, they lose their minds, they come back changed and crazed. Our protagonist, Zafira, is the only one who is able to go into the forest and come out with her life. We also have another protagonist, Nasir, who is the son of the Sultan. He's also the world's best trained assassin. So, hotness level, right up there. This book is essentially about a woman who dresses up as a man to go out and hunt because women can't do anything where she's from. And she goes into the forest. She has to go off on an epic adventure in order to restore magic, because in order to do that, you have to pass through this forest, which only she can do because she's the shit. Some thoughts about this book. I don't know if it was me or if it was the book, but it took me so long to get into this, and it wasn't even that I wasn't interested. I think it was me. I truly think it was me. I started reading the first few pages, something like in the beginning of May, and I'm only just finishing it now. But it's not to say that it was actually written slow, because it wasn't. You start off and it's high stakes, life-threatening situation, and you're brought into Zafira's world. Nothing really dropped from there. It didn't stop the action. Nothing, you know, it wasn't the book's fault. I think it was mine, but it took me forever to get through it. But that being said, a lot of the motivation for me when I'm reading a book to keep going is usually the romance. And this romance didn't really kick up until a while. So we have point of view of Zafira and we have a point of view of Nasir. The two of them don't really meet until 40% through the book. I don't like slow burn. I don't like it. This book was so good on capturing like this whole adventure. By the time I put it down, I felt like we've been on a whole journey with these people, and I loved the characters. The character writing was on point, and the writer's so good at building the world and the passion of these people and just their culture. The other thing I really like about the writing is that sometimes really dramatic things are happening. The writer just breaks up sentences so that they're more dramatic when you read them. So it'll be like a crazy fight scene, or maybe just nothing at all, and all you'll see is like, she fell to her knees, and as a reader you're like, no! It's just crazy. It's good. It's fun. Overall, I think the book is very good. I'm definitely going to be reading the second one. I think I just need to put it to the side because I'm not in a mind space to go deep further into a fantasy realm. I need to pause and do some light romance reading, or maybe some really dramatic romance reading, because we all know I love the drama. I'm definitely going to be continuing this series. It's definitely a series I would recommend. It's a very short non-spoiler review. You should definitely go check out this book. From this point in, I'm going to be talking about some spoilers. So if you haven't read it, please log out now. But if you have, let's continue. Going back onto the fact that I didn't like how the romance took forever to start. So for the first 40% of the book, I was confused on who I was supposed to be rooting for.
But Raye, you have a point of view of Zafira and a point of view of Nasir. How could you not see that that was coming?
I did see that that was coming, but the point is they both have love interests in the beginning of the book, right? So Nasir has Kulsum and Zafira has Dean.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
We're gonna go back to that. So they have these two love interests, right? And Kulsum, she has her tongue cut out because she was with him. I don't want that relationship to be broken up. Also Dean, because you can tell that Zafira doesn't really love him the same way he loves her. I mean, he should just be with Lana, but the two protagonists are already in relationships that you're wanting to root for. I kind of wanted Yasmin and Zafira to be a couple. Zafira could be mid-battle and she hears like Yasmin's voice encouraging her in her head. So she calms her soul with the voice of Yasmin. If that's not soulmates, I don't know what is. Sometimes I feel like writers write such good friendships, they don't realize that they're creating a whole new relationship for us to stan. And I kind of stan Yasmin and Zafira. I love Nasir. Nasir is great, but also I'm not gonna lie that I kind of wanted him with Altar. This is actually where I thought it might be going. I thought Nasir was gonna end up with Altar. I mean, they're brothers, that would be wrong. But if they weren't, right? I thought we were gonna have like 2 gay relationships. That would have been so good. Going back, Dean. Dean's death broke me. Now, I'm very good at figuring out what's gonna happen. Like in a lot of fiction books that I read, I sometimes will know what's gonna happen. My brain went, okay, point of view from Zafira, point of view from Nasir, they're gonna be love interests, but we love Dean. You're either gonna have a love triangle that will sort itself out in a few books, or you're gonna kill off one of the good options. I knew Dean was gonna die when he was just like, there's no man more loyal in the world to the hunter than I. I'm like, oh shit, this motherfucker's gonna die. I knew he was gonna die. And I was ready for it. And people, I was prepared. But I also was not prepared for him to go out telling her how much he loved her. Yes, he did. I actually thought for a moment that he was gonna come back. I thought he was gonna be revived right when her and Nasir are falling in love. And he'd be like, I'm here. I saved your life and I love you and I'd do anything for you. And Nasir would be like,
okay, but I thought we were having something. I thought we were starting something new.
The other things I wanted to mention were actually a bit nitpicky. There are some points in this book where things would be built up, or you would be told a story, a myth, a legend about something magical in this world, and then it would be completely diminished by the way that the characters act or how things turn out. So for example, the Ars, the forest, and everybody talks about how dangerous the Ars is, but when Nasir goes into the forest and he recalls coming out, it's like he lost like half of his mind for a few hours. He was like panting and sweating, and it was the most horrific thing for him to go into that forest. And as soon as he's given the, oh, you need to go into the forest and travel to Shar, he doesn't even hesitate, okay? He obeys his father's orders, but there was no fear about that. There was no thought until later about how he was going to get through the forest. I feel like that would be your first response of,
what? How am I gonna, even I can't get through the forest.
But that didn't really happen. And Zafira, it took one conversation with a woman she's not even 100% sure was there, and a piece of paper that says, I am inviting you to come steal magic away from this island that you'll have to pass through the forest to get to. And she's like,
Yeah. Sounds legit.
even though she pretends that she hasn't really made a decision to her friends and family, but she has, we know as the reader. And you're like, why? Can you think about this for a second? Do you think this is real? Because the Sultan's men just came after you. It could also be the Sultan trying to trap you and kill you somehow. Like, you don't even think about the possibilities. They're just some facts to consider, that's all I'm saying. They're just some things that you need to think about. Just think about it. So the other thing on this train of thought that bothered me was the Dendam, or Dandam, when this creature rises up out of the ocean and Nasir just smiles. I mean, that's kind of creepy, but also kind of hot. I mean, my baby did. He did that. We're told that this creature is so scary. I'm gonna read what it says. They would swallow whole ships in the dead of night when no one could see them or know they were near. Except this monster, after decades of not having anybody on the sea, sees the first ship and just rises out of the water and just sits there and just essentially waits, because I think it's blind and it's trying to find them. But the point is, it's giving them the opportunity to escape from them, which they ultimately do. All he does is sing and they get away, and it's pretty simple. But I'm like, you just built this up to be much more scary than it is. It was very easy to defeat. Like, actually, I could defeat that. It's things like that. It's like building up the scare factor, and then, oh, it gets defeated pretty easily, actually. Okay, cool. The only other thing that bothered me was, I really like Nasir. I like his character. I mean, I do like the journey he goes on. Ever so slightly, just a little bit, just a little tiny bit of me was frustrated about this whole redemption arc. I think I struggle with redemption arcs that take a while, but this didn't actually take a while. Like, he's a good guy from the beginning. You see, even when, well, he's a good guy, but he murders people. He does feel remorse, so he's not completely black-hearted, and he cares, even though he pretends he doesn't or tries not to. I don't know, sometimes I felt like when we were in his point of view, we were hearing some of the same stuff over and over again. I actually think the author repeats repeats a lot of points between their point of views or just repeating them full stop over and over again. It's not actually very annoying. It's beautifully written and it's done in different ways. It nails in what's important without actually getting a bit too exhausting. But in Nasir's case, for me personally, I just was like, ugh. It also just could be me because I was struggling with the pace of it. Those are just like my random grab a whiskey and let's pop the camera on, let's talk about it. That's how YouTube works, right? You turn a camera on and you talk about your opinions and then 5 years later you hate yourself for them. It's great. I'm gonna sign off now, guys, because I've got Settlers of Catan game to play. I don't know what brought you back, but I appreciate it. Let me know if you read this book. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if you agree with anything I said or if there's anything else I missed. I don't know how to end these videos, guys. Nasir. I just... drink whiskey, read books. Horrible. It's horrible. This is a terrible explanation.